Good morning, beauties. Hello. Today, I wanted to share something that I don't normally talk about, but I think is a wonderful coaching opportunity. And so I thought I would share this experience that I had with you in hopes that it might help. So I'm Mary Michelle Nidifer, Master Style Coach and Empowerment Coach for midlife women who want to live their most authentic lives. So let me tell you what happened. I was having a conversation with someone close to me this weekend, and I just really wanted to spend some time with this person. And we're having a conversation, and something was said that didn't quite land the way I wanted it to, or the way I think it was intended. And I walked away from that conversation feeling this physical, have you ever felt this like physical pain? Like in your solar plexus or in your sacrum or somewhere, like this physical, like something's not right. Well, I guess I'm pretty in tune with my body, and I felt like something's not right. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but when I get mad or angry about something, the way it comes up for me is I want to cry and I feel like I want to throw up. I know it sounds weird, but some of you might be able to relate. And I felt like that. I'm like, this is not okay. And so I went for a walk, which is a great way to process emotions. I think just getting our body moving, allowing things to move through our bodies. And I really thought about what was said, the context in which it was said. And I got clear. I'm like, why did that bother me? What did that bring up for me? And then I also reflected on, what this other person is going through right now. And, really try to feel some compassion. But what I really wanted to share is what came up for me was I felt disrespected. I felt unheard. I felt dismissed. And when I could get really clear on that and kind of chill out, when things first hit you, for me, because I can be highly sensitive, it can be like, probably not a good time to talk to somebody. But what happened for me was I got clear on the emotions that I felt, what that brought up for me. And I went for a walk to process it, to really, move the energy through my body and ground myself, calm my nervous system down, because my nervous system gets all jacked up. And then I was able to actually confront that person. I hate to say confront. I basically just had a conversation, calm, chill. And I said, I reflected on this conversation. I didn't really feel good about it. Here's what it brought up for me. That's not what I want for our relationship. And then I just paused to see if there was a response, and there wasn't in the moment. And I was okay with that. So I just kind of went about my day and did my things and just kind of let it go. And then I got a text from that person apologizing, saying, how I talked to you was not right. That's not how I want it to be. And that's all I really needed. Well, that, and to know that it wasn't going to happen again. And so when I interacted with this person the next day, I had to bring it up. I had to acknowledge it. I'm like, hey, thank you for your text. I don't want it to be an issue. I just need you to know how that made me feel. And then we moved past it. And then what I felt was a shift. I felt a shift in the relationship. I felt a shift like, okay, now, and I think it's just, first of all, there are a lot of things I want to say about this, but I think a lot of times things happen, exchanges with friends, family members, those close to us, and we're all doing our thing, we're all dealing with our stuff and feeling our things and living our lives, and we all have different perspectives, and we all have things happen to us, or we go through shifts in our own lives that might make us say something or feel something or do something that isn't aligned with our highest self. So I thought, okay, this person's going through a bit of a transition. Let me have some compassion. And I think when I could really tap into what does that bring up for me. So couple of things I did, which I'll share in a minute. But the first thing I want to share is when I could, I'm not going to say, well, I guess when I can strip away the immediate emotion. For me, I get hit with emotion, like, ugh, like what does that bring up? When I could get away from the emotion and tap into the feelings, which the two are different. If you don't know that, the two are very different. And tap into what feeling did that create for me. So, now there are two tangents to this. So we're going to explore the first one first. And then I have something else I want to explore. But the feelings that it brought up for me, ladies, we are not taught to feel our feelings. We are not taught to honor our feelings. And so I am here. I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to say, first of all, by pushing things down, by saying it's okay, they're right, I just, I'm being selfish or I'm being whatever. Like, your feelings are valid. Whatever they are, your feelings are valid. And I want you to honor those feelings, whatever they are, because they're true for you. Nobody has to validate your feelings except you. And whatever is true for you, that is your truth. And when you can speak it, then you can move past it. But it's when we feel emotions and we don't honor them, they get trapped in our body. They get stuck in our body, and what we resist persists. And if you continually feel sad, angry, scared, frustrated, and you don't acknowledge it, you keep talking yourself off the ledge, oh, let me just step up, I just need to put my big girl panties on. That is not what I'm saying here at all. I'm saying to honor it and move past it. Don't let it run your life, but don't just push it down like we've been taught to do. We're not here to be the good girl. We're not here to be the people pleaser. We're here to honor how we feel. But here's the other tangent. So that's the first tangent. Feel your feelings. Allow yourself to feel it. Doesn't mean go put it on somebody. Go journal. Go for a walk. Come on. Do some EFT. Meditate. Whatever you do to ground yourself, get clear, connected to yourself. That is the key. So that's number one. You got to talk yourself off the ledge, especially if you're a highly sensitive person like myself, which probably shouldn't label myself, but anyway. But the second tangent to this, let's talk about this. Our feelings are caused by what? Who knows the answer to this? Who knows what actually causes our feelings? Who knows what causes? Who wants to say? So our thoughts. Our thoughts create our feelings, which create our actions, which create our results. And so if we're having a situation with a friend, a family member, a loved one, and they say something, and it could be a pattern of behavior, it could be a one-off. It is what we make that mean that we react from, that then creates our feelings. Let's say somebody said something that made us, like this person said to me, it made me feel disrespected. My actions, our feelings create our actions. My actions, because I do what I do and I'm a coach and I know what to do, know how to work through it. I took myself for a walk. I'm like, okay, let me go sit with this. Let me be with this. Let me process this. But my former self would have reacted, would have lashed out, or would have gone to my room and cried and hidden and thought there was something wrong with me. How many times have you done this? How many times has somebody said something and we gave them all the power and we said, oh, they must be right. And we cried and cried and cried until they came to see the error of their ways and they apologized. Or maybe we waited for that, we hoped for that, and it never happened. Well, I did that for years because I was in my victim mindset. And when we can get out of that victim mindset and take our power back, and we do that by honoring our feelings. We take our power back by honoring our feelings and saying, I get to feel whatever I feel. I get to feel. I don't want you to stay there, but feel it. Feel it all. Feel it all. This is why we're here. And honestly, I think this is one of the biggest issues with everybody in the world, or at least in the U.S. We are not taught to feel our feelings. In fact, men and women alike are taught, oh, don't cry, step up. Like, right? Like something happened, oh, stop crying. When a friend is sad about something, what do? We want to comfort them. We want them to stop crying and be okay. We're taught to be okay. Well, I'm not here to be okay for anybody else. I'm here to be okay for myself when I am ready. And so when we can allow ourselves the experience, go cry. I cry, not nearly as much as I used to, but when I need to cry, I have a good cry. When I was going for a walk, I was bawling for a minute. I was like, okay, gotta allow it. And there was some guy walking down the street. I was like, all right, I don't want him to stop and freak out. So I wasn't like wailing. I was just like letting it out, letting it go. Because this is what our body is asking for. It's asking to allow the feelings and not judge whether they're right or wrong. When we can allow those feelings and allow them to move through our body, then we can get to peace. Then we can experience joy. And the truth is, we don't need an apology from anybody else. We don't need to even say anything to anybody else. Unless it's somebody you want to continue having a relationship with. Now, in my case, it is somebody I want to continue having a very good, strong, long relationship with. Someone that was related to me. And I knew, okay, if I don't address this in a mature, responsible way, it's going to cause a rupture. But what happens, and I've recently learned this, based on my own patterns and based on just how things work, all relationships, and I want you to think about this, all relationships go through a period of rupture and repair. And that's actually happened for me quite a bit recently with a lot of people close to me. Part of it is, I'm doing the work. I'm not playing small anymore. I'm calling people out, or I'm speaking my truth. But what's happened is the beautiful part of that. And that could be a little scary if we're not used to it. And I think a lot of us are not used to it. But when we can come from a place of love, not a place of attack, and come from a place of understanding, this is where we get to repair. And repair does not mean the relationship stays status quo. Often repair means you come back together stronger. You've survived a rupture. You've come back together. You've chosen each other. You've said, yes, we want to continue this partnership, friendship, relationship, whatever. And it can make you stronger. But it requires that we honor ourselves. And it requires that we honor each other. But it also means that we take responsibility for our own thoughts. Our minds can be tricky business sometimes. Our egos like to tell us stories that often aren't true and can lead us down a path of thinking the absolute worst when that's anything but the truth. And when we can really look at, what am I thinking about this? What thought is causing me to feel disrespected? When we can tap into that, we might see, oh, there's a past wound or past hurt or a past situation or a past story that happened with somebody else. And I see that repeating in this person. Or this happened to me when I was 5, and this is what reminded me of that. Oftentimes it's bringing up something that has nothing to do with the current situation. And when we react from that, the other person's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening? They may not understand. So this is why processing our own emotions is key. And when things keep coming up, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? You might say, oh, this keeps coming up. I keep being triggered by this. Well, what is being asked of you? What are you being asked to heal? What are you being asked to move past? When we can really look into it instead of running away from it, this is where true growth happens. When we are triggered by the same thing, maybe you notice patterns. Certain people are treating you a different way. She keeps saying this. What does it bring up for you? And then you can shift how you see it. Well, okay, I see that this is, reminds me of when I was 10 years old and my parents did XYZ, or people at school did this. It's going to trigger something. And we get to look at that. We get to heal that. We get to move past that. And so I just wanted to share with you this whole experience because I felt like it was such a win. And I know relationships are one of the most challenging things in the world, in my opinion. And I talk about being a student of the Course in Miracles, and I've read probably one of my favorite books. If you need a good read, is Marianne Williamson's Return to Love. My favorite book. It was one of the first books I read on really, I don't know, spiritual awakening, if you want to call it that, healing, doing the work, seeing things differently. Seeing things differently, like that's the miracle right there. Nothing needs to change except what we see, how we see it. That's the miracle. And what she says is that relationships are the biggest teachers. Marriages are the biggest teachers. Everybody in our life is put there for a reason. Everybody in our life is meant to be a teacher for us, and we're meant to be a teacher for them. Like there is something that we're supposed to learn from each other, some lesson, something. And when we can look at it that way, then we get to see it differently. Because that's a whole different experience than feeling like, oh, she's just here to bully me, or he just wants to treat me that. Well, okay, let's go deeper. Take that deeper. So I just wanted you to think about this, because when we react, when something happens and we don't honor our feelings and we choose to react, it's often a negative circumstance and we don't move forward in a positive way. But when we can step back, reflect, and allow our feelings to come up, not for anybody else but for us, allow ourselves to feel all the feels, cry, scream, punch a pillow, whatever you need to do, get it out, let it out, and then ask yourself, how do I feel? Do I feel better? Yeah, I feel better. Does it still bring up disappointment, disrespect, whatever for me? A little bit. Do I need to have a conversation? Do I want to have a conversation about this? Yeah, now I can do it in a rational way. Okay, great. Then we can move forward and ask for what we want. We get to say, you know what, the relationship I want to have with you is based on this or this or this. It's not based on this. It's whatever. We get to ask for what we want. We get to choose what we want and choose what we create. But when things are not addressed and there's somebody in your life that continues with the behavior, that leads to resentment. And then what does that lead to? Well, usually a ruptured relationship, a ruptured friendship, a ruptured marriage, a ruptured partnership, whatever it is, because it's not addressed. It's not addressed. What is your change of mind on growing out the gray or your hair color? Well, I'm not really talking about gray today, but let's talk about aging. How about that? Our perspective on gray. My change of mind on growing out the gray or your hair color. Give me more specifics. Give me more specifics on that. What are you really asking? And I'll do my best to answer that, because I've got a lot of opinions, but I want to make sure that I really touch on the perspective that you're asking from. But relationships can be amazing, or they can be torture. But it starts with us and our relationship with ourselves, our relationship to our feelings, our relationship to our desires. We don't need permission to feel. We don't need permission to cry. We don't need permission to scream or say, act how we want to in private. We don't need permission for that. We can jump up and down and scream and dance and put on some angry music or happy music or whatever music, sad music, cry it out. But oftentimes if we have not allowed ourselves the space, or we felt like we were not safe to feel our feelings, then we hold it in. And what we resist persists, and it comes out in anxiety, depression, lots and lots of different ways. And so just by feeling your feelings, okay, what? I'm not sure what that means. Just by feeling our feelings, we give ourselves permission to be who we are. To be who we are. Be all of it. You're not just here to lead a fun, happy life. We're here to experience the joy. I think this is why I created Women Living Wildly Alive. Because it's all about the emotions. We're not here to play small. We're not here to disrespect ourselves. We're not here to hold it in and keep it all together for everybody else. We're here to feel, to break open, to scream, to shout, to experience outrageous joy and passion. How do we experience outrageous joy and passion? Well, we feel all the feelings. We feel the depth and the breadth and the width of it. We feel the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads. That's feeling alive. That's tapping into who we are. Tapping in, tuning up, and turning on to the juice that makes us wildly alive. But so many of us get stuck in this, holding it all together for everybody else, that we don't even know who we are anymore. We become so disconnected that we feel checked out. We feel shut down. We feel in a rut. We feel like we're living Groundhog Day, going through the motions every single day. So, all right, so somebody asked me about gray. We'll do a little bit of a segue, but I'm actually going to do another live today at 12 p.m. So I want you to tune in because I've got some big things to share then. But I'll talk about gray for a minute. So recently I transitioned to gray, and today I did mention this morning I pulled my hair back because why? Well, because it's pretty freaking hot and humid. And my hair looked great when I came home from the salon on Friday. And it looked great on Saturday, but yesterday I woke up and the humidity got to it. And it just kind of has a mind of its own sometimes. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to pull it back. And the scarf just kind of held it all in place because it wasn't really trying to stay. My hair is not quite long enough for a ponytail. But my feeling on gray, well, I will say this. I think there is a negative mindset around going gray. I think a lot of people, men and women alike, think going gray makes you look older. So, again, I think we need to reframe. I think we need to see things differently. I think it's time for a fresh perspective. I think it's time that we woke up to allowing ourselves to go gray if we want to. So many women have reached out and said, I've been thinking about it, but I'm scared. I'm scared of what my husband might think. I'm scared of what people will say. I'm like, stop being scared. Are you really scared of that? Are you really scared of how you are going to perceive yourself? Because I've tried to go gray, I think about 2 years ago. And it was that in-between phase that I just hated. I hated it. I felt like I had about 2 inches of gray roots. And then I had my brown hair. And I just felt like every time I looked in the mirror, I felt like I saw my grandfather. I don't know why. And then that made me feel old. And I was like, that's not who I am. I don't want to look like my grandfather. But this time was a whole different scenario. And I think it was because I went from about, maybe an inch of gray to having a really great hairdresser who made the transition for me. I'll just put it that way. And so I'm not in that. I'm kind of in that in-between, but I don't feel like it. I don't have to have that line of demarcation anymore. And how I feel about it, my hairdresser was so funny. She's like, how do you feel? Because, she's done this for quite a few people. And she said, people either love it or they hate it. Either they look in the mirror and they see themselves as old, or they look in the mirror and they see themselves as liberated. Well, I, as you can imagine, was one of those people that saw themselves as being liberated. And it was like, I'm free from the bottle. I'm off the bottle. I don't have to dye my hair anymore. But it was this freedom of, when your roots start showing. I have some great root spray, but when it shows here and here and here, and you feel like if your hair moves or the wind blows, your roots are going to show. And then back here, I hated that. I hated feeling like, it's like, if you've ever felt this way, like things look pretty on the outside, but the inside is a mess. You ever felt that way? Like, that's kind of how I felt about my hair. And just for a short period of time, I think just recently, because I let it go, my last hair appointment, I went in and I did not color my hair. And yeah, it's a journey, but it's all in how we feel. So really the only thing I have to say about going gray is it is a personal choice. You do what's right for you. Some people have told me I'll never stop coloring my hair. Great, you go for it. You do what makes you feel good. I mean, that's my whole stance on everything. How you dress, doing Botox, fillers. You do you. I am not here to tell anybody what's right or what's wrong. The only thing I can do is I guide my clients to finding what's right for them, to finding what's true for them. And it's different for everybody. And I think we make ourselves miserable when we look around and we compare and we say, well, she did this or he did that. I need to do it too, or I need to not color my hair. All my friends won't like it. Well, if they only like you because you don't color your hair, then they're not really your friends. So when you can be your true self and not worry about what anybody else thinks but you, that's when the magic happens. That's when life becomes so much better. And I think at midlife, like, this is our time to shine. This is our time to forget what anybody else says. To let it go. If we feel like crying, cry. If we feel like going gray, go gray. You don't need permission. Just do it. Just freaking do it. You don't need somebody to say it's okay. I mean, my husband was like, don't go gray. He didn't want me to. I did it anyway. I think he likes it. He's gonna like it. He's just got to get used to it. It's just in his mind. I think we've been brainwashed to believe that going gray means looking older, means being old. And I told him, I said, I'm here to make silver sexy again. So you do you. Whatever feels good to you, that's the right answer. All right, ladies, join me at 12 p.m. I'm going to be live. I've got some big things to share. And I hope this served you today in some way. If it did, share it with a friend, comment their name below, or send this to them. But I hope this helped. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon.